I feel like I got the power of the president. I just hit the button. Well, I
Oh
just hit
no.
the button. I took out a very bad man, very bad man.
Yeah,
That's
I'm gonna blow up Iran. Dude, don't you love how I mean, I don't want to get political right now. Oh, I kind of do. Can you believe that he said like he said something about like I love the Iranian people. I mean no harm to the actual people. In fact, they're happy I took out the general because of their well-being. Like he just like putting words in their mouth. He's saying all this stuff like I love the Iranian people, but like before that he talked about like he's like yeah, Iran will pay. I'm gonna destroy some of their most precious national monuments. Like,
yeah.
how can you?
It's considered a war crime, right? To do that, to destroy like important like
Yeah,
monolithiums and certain.
yeah. Also, a fun fact. Like, so when Iran says like "death to whatever," it's like the equivalent of us saying like "fuck this." So like, it's like a real like thing. Like it's just real slang over there. Like they would say like "death to traffic." Obviously not in English. Like we would say like "fuck traffic," but everyone makes like a huge deal out of
I never heard anyone explain it quite like that.
it. I know.
By the way, if you want to send your complaints, if you're a Republican, you can do that to Connor. That's I believe that's your Twitter handle, right? At
Looks like
Connor.
it.
And
Uh,
if you want to send any complaints my way, it's simply Zombie CT. No, I'm not from Connecticut. It's going to be a running joke, obviously.
Zombie
Welcome,
Connecticut.
everyone, to the very first episode of the Connor and Chris podcast. Quite simple title. Connor thinks we probably should change that down the line. It's
Yeah,
really up to you guys.
yeah. We just needed something a little more like snappy.
Fitting, catching, what?
Yeah. Well, once we kind of nail down like how the show goes, maybe that will help. But
Yeah.
I guess it's. I mean, it's about as good a stand-in name as you can have.
Well, I mean, you're Connor, and I'm
Yeah,
Chris.
you're Chris. Well, you're actually Zombie Connecticut.
Actually, I did go to Connecticut once, but that
What?
has no relation to the CT in the name.
You went to Connecticut? Why'd you go to Connecticut, Chris?
I have family there, so
Oh,
went and visited.
it seems like the CT is relevant to
Well, I mean, I guess
Connecticut.
it's relevance. You're gonna have to excuse me, folks, if I scribble and scrabble some words. I started a new job, and basically, since we're recording this on Friday night, I have been up since 10 o'clock p.m. on the previous night. So on Thursday night, I've been up since 10 o'clock then. Well, I've been up since then, and then I actually came home and had like 2 hours of sleep, but pretty much I'm running on that. So if I fribble and frabble some words here and there, just enjoy it.
Okay. Well, it's actually 9:57 now. Actually close to 10. So you basically have been up for I mean 22 out of 24 hours.
Yeah, I, I guess
That's
that's
not
that's similar.
well, it's just not very healthy.
No, that's not.
Nah.
Oh.
Yeah. I'm actually kind of tired too. I'm actually on like a good sleeping schedule right now for a change. Um
How's that work? I mean, like, how's that like? Like, what's your sleeping schedule
uh
style?
I kind of have been going to bed between like 10 and 12, but I've been waking up at like 8 at the latest.
See,
Um
I would say that's kind of becoming an adult. Like an
oh
adult
yeah.
says, like,
Yeah, I don't
yeah,
really like that.
sleep is something I kind of like.
Yeah, when you put it that way, I don't know if I like it. anymore. Maybe I should really mess it up again. Sometimes I do that. Like I'll just get sucked into whatever I'm doing and realize that it's like 2 or 3 in the morning, and then it is kind of ruined for a few days.
I was gonna say, did you wanna, like, go back to, like, your teenager days and, like, I don't know, you grab, like, a 2 liter of Coke and some sour gummy worms or something?
Oh my
You're like,
gosh,
"I'm
that's
gonna
like
stay up
painfully
all
accurate.
night."
Yeah, I used to be able to do that off like Mountain Dew and Mountain Dew, pretty much. I drank a lot of it.
Wasn't that
But
always the good time where you're like, "Man, I'm gonna stay up tonight, like, it's the weekend. I'm done with
yeah.
school, I don't have any homework. Man, I'm gonna
Mhm.
enjoy this Saturday night."
Yep, and you just hop on Modern Warfare 2, while you tell the people the topic idea. Basically, me and Chris wanted to do this podcast to talk about, well, I mean, obviously theme parks partially, but
Yeah,
also just kind
here and
of
there.
life in general, just kind of whatever springs to mind.
Yeah,
Because
we kinda sprung the idea that we didn't we obviously are both theme park fans, and we both love Horror Nights, and Connor kinda brings the aspect that he loves, music, and he goes to festivals and concerts, and I bring the aspect that I love, tech and camera stuff and horror movies and stuff like that. So it's kind of like a marriage of the best of like everything. And we kind of want
mhm,
like all of that to be in there. Kind of like you got a smoothie blender, like you're just dumping all this stuff in there. But then, that stuff is cool, but it's also kind of cool to just talk about stuff like just life topics, whether it be, just I don't know, like the perception of money or like the idea of what makes a YouTuber a good YouTuber or just like online dating. It could just be just really random life topics thrown in there from time to
right.
time.
Yeah, and I'm sure at pretty much every episode, there's a good shot it'll contain some sort of theme park stuff just because both of us are pretty invested in theme parks, and it just happens to be a big part of both of our lives. But, I'd never really on my channel, I never really use it as an outlet to just talk about whatever I feel like. So, I talk about like music over there and theme parks, but that's about it. So, I'm kind of excited to use this as an opportunity to just, I guess, to have a conversation with you guys that you would just have with pretty much anybody. Like Chris said, online dating, for as an example, that's something that I could never really see myself making a video on, but it is something that I think is interesting at the very least to discuss. So, and then it's cool because we can see like maybe what your experiences are with it,
Yeah.
what you guys think of it, and just it sounds like I just really want to talk about online dating right now, but I just mean like for anything really.
We're just gonna change the title of the show next week. The Chris and no, I already messed it up. The Connor and Chris online dating experience podcast extravaganza talk show.
Wow.
Is that too long?
Um, I don't know, maybe. But in addition to all of this, we were also floating around the idea of doing. Obviously, probably a lot of you guys are interested in the horror stuff, right? Horror nights in particular, maybe.
Definitely.
Um, so we kind of thought that we should do like maybe like a live stream podcast when there's horror nights announcements. It's kind of good timing because obviously nothing's been announced for HHN 30 yet besides the dates,
Or has it?
or
Dun
has
dun
it?
dun.
Uh, yeah. So I mean, I guess kind of give your thoughts on that. Like, do you think we should do that as maybe a live stream format? Actually, me, Chris, and Brady actually did a live stream like 3 years ago now about our hype lists for 27,
Yeah,
and it was
well,
cool getting to like
I'll have a link
interact.
to that
Yeah,
in the, description box.
but yeah, it was just cool getting to like interact with the chat like in real time and talk about what we were excited for. So yeah, that could be another little thing we throw in there.
Yeah, that'll definitely be a uh, live stream podcast. So you guys will be able to interact, leave comments and stuff. So
I feel like this is pretty rough.
I don't think it's too rough. I think it's pretty much like most podcasts I listen to.
Okay. I don't really listen to too many these days.
Oh, see, that's the difference. So you don't listen. That's a whole different topic. So you don't listen to podcasts like usually too much
No, I mean, just because
because you listen to a lot of music, obviously.
yeah, I guess like a time thing, partially. Like, I guess there was a lot of situations where I could listen to a podcast,
Hmm.
but instead I tend to choose to like you said, listen to music or maybe watch a movie or something.
Yeah,
But I like doing podcasts though. Even though I don't really listen to them, I just like to chat. I don't know. I just like to chat. So
yeah,
it's kind of weird that I like doing them so much and don't really listen. But I mean, I listen sometimes. But
yeah.
yeah.
I listen to way too many. Like I don't understand how do I do anything in a day like between like work and then like trying to watch any kind of movies for to do reviews on, and then you got like like Netflix stuff popping up all the time, like the new Dracula series, which I haven't even touched, or The Witcher, or like The Irishman, which is like what 3.5 hours. I feel like I'll never get to it. I'm still trying to catch up on like all of the Marvel movies, but then it's like that, and then it's like there's tons of like YouTubers that I watch, but I haven't like sat down and devoted a couple hours to that, and then it's like I listen to probably, I don't know, like 9 or 10 podcasts, and those 9 or 10 podcasts pretty much come out with new episodes like every 2 or 3 days.
Hmm.
I don't even know how I get to everything.
Yeah, I guess it's at this point, when you're busy with work or whatever, it's really just all about like prioritizing. So, for example, whenever a Pixar movie drops, like I'll definitely be in the theater for that. But then like there are some movies that it's like, oh, I want to see that, and I'll like throw it on the list. But because it's maybe not like high on the priority list, it's one of those like just kind of get to whenever. Okay, here's an example.
Disney's
That
Aladdin.
well, I'm not gonna probably get to that ever, but um, um, underwater, right? I'm
Underwood,
not
yeah.
like I'm not like dying to see underwater,
Kirsten Stewart.
right? I'm not like dying to see it, um, but I'm like kind of interested. So it's just one of those things where it's like I'll probably get to it,
Yeah.
but it's all about priorities. Speaking of horror movies that came out in January, I did see that you saw The Grudge.
Yeah, that I
Mm.
did. That was a thing.
So, funny story about The Grudge. Like when I was in like ninth grade, my best friend used to torment me with The Grudge. Like I've always thought she was a very freaky character. Like those, I guess you could say like the pale chicks with like the long dark hair and the white
Mhm.
gowns. I think I've told you this before, but that for me that's like the creepiest horror villain. So like The Ring, like I
Yeah.
feel like those types. So, and it's probably because of this, but I remember he used to send me like pictures of The Grudge like right before I was gonna go to bed. Just, just generally not nice.
This
And
sounds totally like it sounds like how the start of some kind of, Me Too case right there. Just he used to send pictures late at night before I went to bed.
no, so oh my gosh, he like a few days ago, he was like, "Hey, a bunch of us are going to go see The Grudge. You want to come?" I was like, "Uh, no." I'm like, "Did you like read the reviews? Like, it's got like a 20 audience score, which I mean, sometimes
Is that you're
critics
referring
might
to the
get
new
things
one
wrong.
or the
It,
Sarah Michelle Gellar
yeah,
one?
the new one, the
Okay,
2020.
okay.
So the tomato meter last I saw has like a 19 critic score and a 22 audience score, which sometimes I do think critics are wrong, you know, and sometimes
Yeah, they're a
like
little more harsh.
sometimes you'll see a movie have like a 40% critic score, but then like an
Mhm.
85 audience score. But
That
if you can't even get like a 25 audience score, I mean that's just like there's just no possible way that the movie's good. Like I don't know because well, it's tough because I guess some movies that are rated like that, it's kind of like funny bad, but then you have movies that are just bad bad.
Yeah, bad. Like,
That's
wow,
what The Grudge
this is not
seems
even
like
worth a laugh.
because it takes itself seriously
Yeah,
and it's just executed poorly.
very, very poorly.
Did you see a couple years back? Did you see the Emoji Movie?
No, and I think I will never see.
Yeah, definitely don't. I remember me and a friend watched it one night, thinking like, "Oh, it's got to be like so bad that it's funny because it's a animated movie about emojis." But turns out it wasn't like it was bad because it wasn't funny. So I
That
guess
brings
it's like The Grudge is like bad because it's I don't know. I mean, I haven't seen it, but it just seems like it. Okay, so if I had to make a guess, like without having seen it,
yeah,
it's just like just a really cheap remake where they just kind of go for some stupid jump scares and the plot is like really shallow. I mean, that's what I would guess. Like that's just what it seems like.
pretty much spot on. I mean,
I mean,
it's
January
the
horror.
only thing about it is that it's from what I understood is that it's not like it's not a remake in a sense that they're just retelling the same story. Like the previous American one, it still is in the same universe. Like they're still
Oh,
connected, but it's
okay,
sort of like a reboot. Like, it's almost like they're saying like,
okay.
"Hey, you remember like this Grudge thing? Like we're kind
Mm.
of just refreshing your memory with this." But that other one still exists, you know. It's not a total reboot, which doesn't work because obviously this is years and years and years later after, the Grudge, remake.
Yeah, we live in a weird era of remakes, and it's not even always like there's so many different kinds of remakes these days. Like, I mean, you have, for example, like The Lion King, which is just basically a CGI version instead of hand drawn animated, and it's just the same exact story, but it looks different. But then you have like a film that I'm very worried about coming out pretty soon, The Invisible Man.
You're worried about it?
Yeah, very.
Is it,
Well,
like, just because of the trailer or because of director behind it or
it's mostly what like the concept seems to be, I guess, because the original Invisible Man is like one of my favorite movies ever. It's my favorite of the classic monsters.
Mhm.
I just love it. It's like this kind of goofy, like whimsical movie about a
Oh,
scientist who discovers
interesting.
the serum and then goes crazy. But this one just seems like really dark,
Mhm. Yeah.
like really like it's like dealing with like domestic violence and like the abusive husband or I don't know if they're married, but abusive boyfriend or whatever, like finds a way to be invisible so he can keep tormenting the girl, and it's like,
And
it
you're
just
like,
doesn't seem like something
this is not what the Invisible Man should be
not
about."
what I think of. Yeah, so yeah, I'm a little worried about that, but I don't know.
What's gonna be next? Like, Frankenstein being a football player or something?
You know what? There's probably a movie like that that actually exists. I bet you.
What? Frankenstein
Frankenstein is like a
football
football
player?
player. Let's see. I'll Google it right now.
If that
Let's
is
see.
a movie, I will have to watch it and review.
Uh, Wait, I might be onto something. I might
Please no. needs to
I
know.
found something called Frankenstein: The College Years from 1991. Oh,
God,
okay.
I
So
screwed
here's the
myself on
summary.
that one.
Here's the summary. When Professor Lipziger dies, his favorite student Mark inherits the key to a secret lab. There, he and his friend Jay find the 100 of years old body of Frankenstein and revive it. But where to go with him? They take him to their dorms. He's dumb as a brick, but makes it into their football team and becomes popular. I
Oh,
told you. I
oh,
told you.
well, I guess, guys, you can expect that review to be coming out very soon, maybe next month.
I can't believe it.
I shot myself and put my foot in my mouth with that one.
Yeah, I really am not looking forward to having to watch that.
I have to take a look at this. Oh man. So then do you think going forward is that how they're rebranding this Universal Monster like universe? Do you think like they're all going to be sort of horrifying and serious and
Um,
I
I
mean
don't
kind
know.
of
Like,
tying with the whole dark universe thing that they were doing?
I guess
Should they?
like to answer your question about the rebranding of the Universal monsters. I remember they tried to do that whole dark universe, which actually sounded really interesting, but
Yeah.
unfortunately, the Mummy was such a failure. So I don't know. I would like to see them try again, to be honest.
Well, that's what they're doing with this. That's why they started the Invisible Man and then um
So so wait, is the Invisible Man not like its own thing? Like, is it going to be part of a greater
um
universe?
I I don't think they're doing a universe, but they're doing, like, all of the sort of the remaking all of the
Mm,
classic monsters, I believe. I don't think they're connecting. It's sorta like how the Conjuring universe is sort of like, "Hey, they're all kinda exist, but they're not like" you don't see, like, the nun showing up and, next to Annabelle at the end or something. It's just like, "Oh, yeah, they're kinda connected, but they're not."
yeah, yeah,
Unless they bring in I mean, the only way to connect them is what, Van Helsing would be the only connection.
yeah. I guess we'll have to see what they do with it, but it was a shame that the Mummy did so poorly, and it's actually kind of funny now, like when you go see like the horror makeup show at Universal, how like they kind of banked on the Mummy, and they made like the Mummy kind of like a big part of that show,
Yeah.
and now it's just kind of weird now.
And it's sort of like the curse of that show because when you think about before that, they were banking on, the Hellboy because they had that whole display and they were playing sort of the trailers and stuff. That
Hmm.
bombed, or I don't think it did that good. And then before that, I think it was the Wolfman, which didn't do so well either.
Well, maybe they should keep that in mind. But it's funny because now it's been like 2 3 years since that even came out, and it's still like they're still using it.
Oh,
It's
which
like,
one?
geez, the Mummy,
Oh, okay, yeah, Tom Cruise, yeah.
Tom Cruise, yeah. So I don't know. They should probably look into changing that. They should probably just use like classics, so, like stuff that's already good. Like they have like the whole bit with like American Werewolf. Like at least that's already established as like good and a classic.
Yeah,
I mean, didn't they literally like invent the Academy Award for makeup for that? See, poor
cor
makeup. Top of
correct.
that.
Mhm, yeah, Rick
So
Baker.
right. So it's just like I don't know. Maybe don't use 2017 Mummy anymore. Well, this really went off on a tangent.
Yeah, I've always thought they should include Horror Nights a little bit more into the show, but,
Hmm.
you know,
It's kind of actually weird that they don't when you
I
think about it.
mean yeah, I mean, it's a huge part of Universal, and it does feature makeup. and horror.
Yeah.
I mean,
I mean, it's like a perfect chance to like say like, here's how the makeup team does things at Universal's Halloween Horror Nights, brings the monsters to life or whatever.
which you can experience in the fall.
September 10th through November 1st. Dude, don't you love how we got like an extra day already? Like, because remember when they first dropped the thing, it was September 10th through October 31st, and then
Yeah.
suddenly it just changed to November 1st.
They're like, "Yeah, just go ahead and add that extra day."
They added an extra day before 2019 even ended.
At least this time it was announced early as opposed to like, "Well, I don't know. I haven't booked tickets and I haven't booked my
Yeah.
hotel." "Oh, okay. Surprisingly, they just announced this in the very last week."
Mhm. Well, nothing will ever, top their marketing strategy for Halloween Horror Nights 27.
What do you mean? Oh, wait a minute, 27. I'm having wait a minute,
I just
27.
remember a lot of people complain about, like, how long the announcements took, and also that, like, countdown thing. You remember
Oh,
that?
okay, yeah,
And then
now it's all coming back.
it, like, ended in a sweepstakes, like, they just counted down to a sweepstakes. You could get, like, some wallpapers. Classic.
Terrible.
Mhm. And that was my first year, like, really buying into the buildup because it was, like, the first year I knew for sure I was going,
Mhm.
and I was like, "Wow, this is how they market the event?" No, they've done a lot better the last 2 years.
Yeah. They've learned from their mistakes and adjusted some things.
Mhm. Yeah, they space the announcements out well. They don't have countdowns to stuff that literally no one cares about,
See,
you know?
I wish you were around to experience what, like, older, like, Horror Night fans like me or Disco Liz or, some of the older ones out there would tell you about, like, how they used to just hype it up and then they'd be like, "Midnight," bam, like, "Here's the full site. Here's all
Yeah,
the houses." There was no, like, announcement, like, season or, like it was just like everybody's up waiting and then bam, midnight, everyone's looking through, everyone's, like, hyped,
that'd be
everyone's
I feel like that would be a lot of fun, you know, because I mean, I do get that with, like, music festivals and stuff, like, they'll drop the lineup or, albums, I'll stay up till midnight for albums, but, like, I do remember though, because I started following the event in 2007 because they got Freddie and Jason and Leatherface, and I was like, "Oh, I know who those are," even though I was like I was, like, way too scared to go. I mean, I was only, like, 11 at the time, but I was like, "Freddy Krueger is awesome," you know? I was a big Freddy guy, and, so I followed it, and I, like, watched, videos. I remember watching, the video of, like, Jack on stage, like, presenting
Oh, that's
them,
so good.
and they, like, popped out of the little.
Yeah, the gigantic cards.
Yeah. I remember, like, seeing that video on YouTube, and then I remember, like, the following year watching the walkthrough of, like, Chucky and stuff. I was like, "I know Chucky." Or no, sorry, that was 2 years later, 'cause the Bloody Mary year in between, right? 17 was Freddy, Jason,
Uh,
18 was Bloody Mary,
yeah, correct.
and then 19 was Chucky and Saw and Wolfman. But, I do remember kinda, like, the websites, like, kinda how the websites used to look
Mhm.
back then.
Yeah.
All that backstory and stuff.
All the stuff they were like years later, like, "Why are we paying for this?" Like, why are we
Yeah.
spending, like, resources and time on this?"
I just feel like they kinda realized that the people that were really diving into that stuff are the people that they've already sold the event to.
Yeah. They're
So,
like,
like,
"We already got them."
right, like, you and I are gonna go to the event regardless of the lineup, most likely. Um, so they're just trying to sell to people who are maybe on the fence. Like, I mean, I know plenty of people in my personal life who would say, like, "Yeah, I would go if this movie were to show up," you know?
Yeah, or this, like, popular TV show or
Right. So that's really, like, that's what people kinda don't
casual.
realize, like, that's what they're really trying to cater to the most.
Yeah,
I mean, they'll throw hardcore fans a bone, you know? I mean, they gave us, like, Nightingales, they gave us, like, a Dead Exposure sequel just in,
yeah,
like, the last couple of years. So they will, but at the end of the day, their primary target
is to
is
reach the ones who haven't been yet.
right, or their, like, decision to go is based on what's there. So, and that's why the event has been so IP dominated for the past, like, 7 years,
Which is funny
roughly.
because that makes me think of already there's 3 properties already in my brain that I'm assuming that could be coming for this year.
Hmm. I mean, I'm pretty sure I know what you're talking about. I don't know if I wanna, like
Well,
if
one
we
of
wanna
them
get into it.
is already from last year and the year before that. I mean, pretty much everyone would suspect that Stranger Things would be back.
Real I don't think it will be.
You don't?
Nah.
Interesting.
Well, I
Or
don't think season
you think their
4
magic
is
number is always like 3 and we're done, 3 and we're done.
maybe I mean, I think they definitely know that there's a lot of hangover from The Walking Dead, but, like, I'm pretty sure let me see, Stranger Things. I don't think season 4 is gonna come out in time.
Oh, yeah, you're right. I keep forgetting that they would have to have some kind of material to work off of.
Yeah, so it says filming for the season is slated to begin in January 2020 and will last through
Ooh,
August. So it
hmm.
definitely won't be out probably until 2021, to be
You
honest.
think
If
so?
like,
It wouldn't be out for the
well,
fall season?
maybe like late 2020. Let's see what it says. See if I can find like a
'Cause
release date roughly.
'Cause the last
Um,
season, I believe it came out the summer, right? Last summer.
this yeah, it was last summer because of like the whole Fourth
Oh,
of
yeah, 4th
July.
of July celebration,
But
yeah.
I mean, I hate these articles where it's like you're looking for the answer like one question and it's like a long article. But this one says probably like late 2020 or early 2021.
Mm.
I mean, if they're gonna be filming all the way through August, like how could the people developing the houses, how could they make a house?
Well, I mean, they
You
get
know?
early access, I would
But they're gonna
imagine.
be but they're gonna be filming until August.
And I don't think well, if it came out late, I don't see them coming back to Stranger Things, like, next year.
Mhm. Yeah,
'Cause
I just don't feel because and plus, don't I feel like if they intended to do it this year, to be honest, I would have guessed that this year or sorry, well, I guess last year now, they would have just done season 2 and then done, season 3, but they kinda just, like, crammed season 3 in there as kind of an afterthought. So it's like, why would they have done that
so
if they're not if they're gonna
should I give my okay, since that one's kind of maybe, okay, 1 out of the 3 is maybe a no-go.
Mhm.
Would you wanna guess my other 2?
Um,
Because one of them is very much related to a property that we had last year, and the other
okay.
one is kind of related to Stranger Things, but not quite.
Hmm, okay. So I would say one of them is probably and this is one that I've seen a lot of people kinda talking about on social media and stuff. A lot of people guessing Candyman.
Dang, dang it.
Was that what you were thinking?
Yeah, that was the big
Because
one.
Jordan Peele, 2020,
Yeah.
it's like a summer
They keep
release, so it'll be
adding yeah.
out,
Mhm. And
and,
I'm sure Candyman is always a property that they've wanted to do, but
mhm,
they've never had the opportunity because it's a
yep,
really hard, like, sell, it's
mhm.
one of those older films that's just hard for them to promote, and especially with
Yeah.
the new one with Jordan Peele kind of being not in the directing chair, but he's like the executive producer, and he already has a relationship with Horror Nights and Universal. It kind of just makes
Mhm.
sense to me.
I think, if they would have done Candyman in the past, you probably would have filled, like, that House of a Thousand Corpses role, kinda like that,
Ah,
kinda that niche property, I guess you
yeah.
could call it. But now, like, with a new movie coming out with well, I think he's is he produ he I think he wrote this, he wrote it. I don't think he's
Yeah,
directing it.
he might have, I think he was executive producer, and he might have wrote it or co-wrote.
Yeah. But either way, like, with his name on it and just how big of, like, a cultural phenomenon he's become, um, it's an easy sell, like, if you just put Jordan Peele's Candyman on the poster, that makes it a sell. And the other one you said was kinda related to Stranger Things?
I mean, it's not directly related to it, but, I mean, you can say, like,
Mm.
they're neighbors.
Oh, Hill House,
Oh, I didn't even
or just
think about
haunting
that
it
one.
or haunting of Bly Manor in general, like the haunting stuff.
Hmm. I mean, that was one that I think a lot of people were expecting last year.
Yeah, I would have loved to see it personally. I
I
love
was
that show.
thinking you're sorta in the ballpark because it's a Netflix, property, but I was thinking the Dracula series because it's
Oh,
sort of like the classic, Dracula. It's not like a modern, like, he's walking around in, our times, so I figured maybe that could be it could extend their relationship with Netflix and, hey, it's kinda this cool, creepy kinda gothic property they can use. But then again, they just used Universal Monsters last year,
true.
and maybe once all these Universal remakes come out, they might use those because I think they're Universal, right? The Invisible Man is Universal,
I
right?
think so. Well, they can't really do a house off that one, but, like,
Well,
future ones,
I
because what
don't
are
know
you
about
gonna
the
do? Like, just
subject
a
matter.
yeah. Subject matter and the fact that, he's
Yeah,
just invisible the whole time.
yeah, that man, did you see the scares in there? No, I didn't see a
Nope.
dang thing. It was just
But, yeah, I mean, I guess that could make sense, but counterpoint to you saying that they used monsters already, like, I wouldn't be overly surprised still, just because I mean, Hollywood did Frankenstein vs. Wolfman, and that was pretty successful for them, and, it's also the 30th anniversary, so it wouldn't be even though we just had it last year, like, it wouldn't be surprising to see, like, some sort of monster representation in some capacity.
I know there's
I will
one
say
property that okay, well, Killer Clowns was pretty much top of the line, like, your
yeah.
house. But if I'm not mistaken, you are a Fright Night fan, right?
Yeah,
And that feels
yep.
like something on the bucket list that's a '80s,
Yeah,
something
that's
they
one
ignored.
yeah, that's one that I just feel like is gonna happen. I mean, I don't think it's gonna happen, like, this year or anything, but it's one of those ones that I'm pretty confident that I'll get to see at some point. Um, but yeah, I mean, Killer Clowns was, like, top of the line, but I would say Fright Night is probably my favorite horror movie, 'cause I don't really consider Clowns like a horror movie. I mean, it's my
Mm.
favorite movie ever, but I just kinda see it as a comedy. Um, but in terms of, like, a objectively horror movie, it would probably be Fright Night, so, yeah, I definitely wanna see that, but it's definitely one that I mean, I could see it as early as 31 maybe, but, you know, but going back to monsters, were you surprised to see the monsters come to 29 instead of 30, like, in that capacity?
Uh, mm, yes and no, I guess, because only because how Hollywood had it, and it was such a success, and
Mhm.
it seemed like they were kind of ramping up like the anniversary merchandise, especially right after Hollywood did theirs, and they had all those really cool murals, those paintings done on the back lot, and it just kind of seemed like in line for them to be like, if we don't do this now, it's gonna feel like, I don't know. It would feel like it's dated a little bit. Like, yeah, you guys should have did this last year. But then it
Mm,
does kind of make sense with the anniversary of the event and tying in. Classic Monsters were the original starters of the event as well. So yeah, I mean, yes and no, I guess.
yeah, but like I said, I would not be surprised if like they're represented in some capacity. You
Maybe a
know,
scare
I
zone,
don't know. Maybe a scare zone, or maybe like
a show, or
maybe they'd be part of a show.
Minions of Mayhem.
Well, I don't know if they do like another compilation house. You know,
Oh, yeah, you're right. They can
could
do
be.
like a Usher style, like multiple movies.
Hmm. Or
Hmm.
like a Monsters and Mayhem or whatever.
Would you
25.
would you accept Fright Night being a part of a compilation house, or would you rather it be its own, like,
Nah, I mean, I would be stoked, but I like if you told me that it was now like you can have it in this compilation house, but
or
that's it,
yeah.
you know, um, I would be happy as long as it doesn't mean that I can't see them get like a full house of it at some point.
Mm. 'Cause
So,
it does suck when you get a compilation house and there's properties in there where you're like, "Dang," like back in, I think it was, HHN 19, I believe, the Usher's year, and he had his house, and there were properties in there where you're like, "Wow, the room they did with the, strangers was awesome." Like, I want a whole house of, the strangers, but you're never gonna get that.
mhm.
So
Yeah,
I
I
can
think
understand the frustration of, like,
yeah.
being like, "Oh, Fright Night only got 2 scenes," like, I wanted a whole house experience of
And
this.
that the thing about Fright Night is there's, like, very easily enough there to make a full house, you know? Like, there's so much that you could do with Fright Night, I think anyway.
And see, I completed my checklist. I pretty much have a checklist that every show I'm gonna somehow work in a little sprinkle of some Horror Nights.
It's hard not to
Somehow.
when you're just talking, you know? It's like this happens with me all the time, like, no matter who I'm with, I'm, like, in the parks or whatever, like, we're just talking about the parks, like, it's just hard to not bring it up at all,
Yep.
you know?
It's pretty much our first episode, so we're guaranteed that we can just, wing it, we can screw up, we can do anything because it's the first show.
This is true. Uh, I'd say we probably save the topics. 'Cause we've already been going for 50 minutes per
I think that's pretty good quality.
trying to think if I said anything, like, that was, like, cringy they
Eh,
should take out.
but if you did, they can always
Um,
so if you have any complaints, there you go. Send them to Connor W26. Um, I'm sure he'll, respond.
yeah.
But as well, equal opportunity here. If you want to send me anything, hate mail, your likes. Did you like the show? Did you not like it? Any kind of critiques, any tips, anything you want to see us cover in the future? Perhaps like some sort of separate topic away from the theme parks or towards the theme parks, anything. reach either one of us. I don't know what would you think a good outro would be?
Um,
Like it's funny because I'm trying to think back of like podcasts that I listen to, and when they go out, like one of them I listen to is it's like a hip hop podcast, and they abruptly will like end the show. Like he'll be like, "All right, catch you guys next time. All right, peace." And it's like it's over, and the next thing I know, like another podcast will start, or it'd be like, you know, your current playlist is over, and I'm like, man, that. I feel like it's always like the outro should be like, all right, thanks guys, like giving the person time to be like, oh, okay, well, let me get the next podcast in order, or get to my phone and see what I'm going to listen to next.
Yeah. I mean, I guess if you can find like some outro lounge music or something, like royalty free.
Yeah, royalty free outro.
Kind of like piano lounge music.
Oh, okay, so that's the request.
What if our podcast has the word lounge in it, like in the title?
What, like the Connor and Chris?
Connor and Chris's lounge.
Oh.
Because people chat in lounges. Dude, now the word lounge is starting to sound weird. Lounge. Lounging. All right, well, I'm gonna try and I'm gonna try and wing a little outro here. So, okay. Let's see.
Do you need like a countdown?
Nah, I'll just give you a little. I'll give it a little bit of blank space here, and I'll just say something.
Are you gonna do it like in a professional voice?
Just my normal voice, if that's professional enough. Okay. Well, I think that pretty much covers it. Before we continue rambling even more, what do you think? Keep in mind, everybody out there, this is the first show, the pilot episode. I guess in the future, like we'll probably
this is
have
like episode
topics coming in.
001.
Yeah, so follow us on the Twitters. Chris has this fun little graphic. Look at that. Oh yeah, that's Chris's Twitter. Zombie Connecticut.
You son of a...
And now he's not gonna put mine on probably. There it is. So yeah, I mean that's pretty much all I have to say. I don't know if you have anything else to add before hopefully we just don't start rambling again.
Do I have anything to add? No, I don't think I do. Thank you guys for all the support. If you like what you heard or saw, or however you've gotten a hold of this, leave it a review, leave a thumbs up. Yeah, check out Connor's channel, check his Twitter out, check out mine, yada yada yada, I think that's it, right?
Yeah, I think that's a solid note to end on. I don't know, just find some like royalty-free piano music to like fade it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like some smooth piano music.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not like some like Beethoven or something.
Nah, Beethoven's a little too intense.
Let's see. And 3, 2, 1.